Elon Musk is in charge. You know it, I know it, everyone knows it, so does the Trump administration. They keep obfuscating in the courts and the media, hemming and hawing and stammering in an attempt to be a moving target and avoid accountability for what they are doing to our government because they know it is an unconstitutional seizure of power, that it is an insult to our democratic system. Sunstein is an expert on executive power and regulation. He was nominated by President Barack Obama and confirmed by the Senate to lead the Office of Information Regulatory Affairs, where he oversaw all governmental regulations. He's now a professor at Harvard Law School and the author of dozens of books, most recently Climate Justice, which is out this month. And Sunstein joins me now. You have a lot of experience on these questions, both as a constitutional scholar, as someone who's thought and written about presidential power and constitutional structure, who served in an administration. And I just got to say, from an outsider amateur view, it just seems it plainly cannot be the case that under our constitutional order, the president could just be like, this guy's going to just decide who gets hired and fired and delete agencies. He's not confirmed by the Senate. He's not even officially really an employee, and he gets to do whatever he wants. Like, how is that allowed?
Not really. So there's the president, and then there's the vice president, and then there's the cabinet, which, as you say, these are confirmed by the Senate. Then there are advisors in the White House who have to go through certain ethical requirements. They're often called assistant to the president. Those are the big ones. And then there's something really much smaller called a special government employee. And don't be misled by the word special. It's not really all that special. It just means that you work 130 days a year and you don't have any directive authority. So Mr. Musk, as I understand it, is a special government employee, which means he's not allowed to direct anyone to do anything, and he's only supposed to work on a part-time basis, 130 days.
Okay, but that's clearly not what's happening. And all of this ridiculousness about who the administrator of DOGE, it seems to me, is because they understand that his role is illegal, that he cannot do what he's doing if he is this special government employee.
Well, if he's a special government employee, he can work as an advisor and he can offer his opinion. He can't order anyone to do anything, but he can advise the president, he can advise the cabinet, he can have an office. What he's doing, if it involves directive authority, is something very different. And as you say, people with directive authority, they have special ethical and other requirements.
And there's also a constitutional question here to me, which is the Constitution imagines the federal executive as not fully independent of the Congress insofar of its staffing. Like, there's cabinet level and sub-cabinet level, the people in that room who are around there sitting watching this guy say, we decided we wanted the Ebola funding back. Those people are Senate confirmed because the Constitution requires that, and this guy is not.
Yeah, so the most important relevant part of the Constitution obliges the president to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. So let's put that in the sky and shout it from the rooftops. Take care that the laws be faithfully executed. And there are people who have authority, or that is an obligation to do that, the president primary among them. And then the Senate confirmed people also subject to presidential authority are supposed to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. Now, that's really important. It's also a duty. It's not only a power. It means you're subordinate. This is Article 2 of the Constitution. You're subordinate to Article 1. Now, special government employees, and you're seeing one of them, they are occupying a lesser and temporary status. And I think it's fair to say in American history, we've never seen a special government employee who's quite as special as this one.
You wrote an op-ed in the New York Times about this sort of vision of executive power, this sort of for the first time, basically, since the New Deal, this sort of concentration of power in the executive. And that has to do with the independent agencies. But it seems to me it goes beyond that, right? There's a theory about independent agencies don't exist. It's all the president. But it's above that. It's actually that we control the power of the purse, that we can unilaterally delete agencies that are statutorily created and funded. I'm not quite sure the limiting principle that they've articulated about what the authority of the presidency is.
Well, let's start a little bit small, but actually kind of nuclear, and then get super nuclear. So there are independent agencies like the Federal Reserve Board and the Federal Communications Commission, which have long been understood to be independent of the president. And that's really important because if the monetary supply is controlled by the Fed, not just the Fed, but by the president as the Fed's boss, then the president can move monetary supply in his politically preferred directions. Yep. And that's dangerous because then you can do things with interest rates to ensure your party gets reelected, et cetera. Now, if the Federal Communications Commission is under the thumb of the President of the United States, then you can really reward people who say you're the best president ever, you're actually the greatest person ever, and you can punish people who say you're merely the third greatest person ever. And so independence is super important for those. Now, separate from that, your point, Chris, is that there's an obligation, even if you think the independent agency should be under the president, which is a pretty adventurous nuclear thing to say. There's something super nuclear, which is to say that the president can impound the expenditure of federal funds. The president can abolish agencies, which are statutory creations. The president basically has authority over not only execution of the laws, but also which laws should be turned into reality. And because Congress gets to decide whether there's a consumer bureau and some expenditure of funds, then the separation of powers is really endangered.
Seems like we're at that point. Cass Sunstein, thanks for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up, the growing back